Hey, what's up, everyone? Unknown CR here. Welcome to my first longer form video today, and also the first one of the face cam. Today, we're going to be ranking every single card in Clash Royale for the month of August in 2025. All right, yeah, so let's get right into it. First off here, we got the archers. Um, I'm thinking probably somewhere in D tier. Like, medieval archers are obviously a lot better. There's still a lot of arrows in the meta right now, so the archers really can't be that good. Next we have a knight, and again, I know you've probably heard this 1,000 times before. Great stats for the cost. I think the knight is obviously S tier, like 3 elixir. You get a great tank, and then just like really good damage. And just for 3 elixir, it gives you like nice little ground attacking option that can also be a really good tank. Next we have the goblins. Obviously, goblin gang, skeletons, and guards are gonna be a lot better than the goblins in the meta right now. Probably just gonna throw them in D tier. You really don't see them at all right now. For the giant, I think it's been making a pretty good comeback in the current meta. You're seeing a lot more giant prince decks with the Spirit Empress. I think that the giant basically it's a meat shield with good damage. You just put it in front of your prince, Spirit Empress, whatever, and it just tanks forever. So I think yeah, it just goes in the A tier just because of the sheer amount of health it has. The P.E.K.K.A. I'll put probably in the C tier. Like I don't think she's that good in the current meta right now. Obviously P.E.K.K.A. Goblin Giant is good, but that's I think because of the Evo P.E.K.K.A. The regular P.E.K.K.A. just doesn't do too much, and ever since it got that range nerf, it's just not good. Minions obviously straight up in S tier. The range buff just made them absolutely incredible, and as you guys might know, I am an E-Giant player myself, so the fact that these things can literally outrange an E-Giant just pisses me off a lot. Next up, we have the balloon. Oh, this is a tough one. I don't think the balloon is the greatest in the meta right now. I think there's a lot of air cards that do really well against it, like and have high DPS, like Minions and Spirit Empress. I haven't been seeing a ton of 2.9 cycle, and obviously Lava Hound is just preferred to run the Goblin Curse and the Lightning right now. But yeah, so I'm gonna put it in the B tier. Like I don't think there's a ton of decks that the balloon could be running in, and I just haven't been seeing a lot on ladder recently. The Witch straight in F tier, way too weak to spells. It just doesn't deal enough damage. Those skeletons do not get enough value. Barbarians also F tier, just way too weak to spells, and they're oftentimes not getting enough value for the 5 elixir you have to play for them. The Golem, I'm gonna put in the C tier. It's the support cards for Golem are all pretty good right now, especially like Spirit Empress you can throw in there. Not really Pump, so I think we're seeing a lot more Golem Lightning and more of those kind of control type decks. But I think Golem is in a really good spot, especially with the recent buff. Skeletons, straight in S tier, amazing cycle card. You always get great value for just 1 elixir. Valkyrie, I'm going to go in the B tier. Like, nothing special. Like, obviously, the splash damage is nice, and she has good damage, but you're always going to want to have, like, a knight instead of her. So, yeah, I think we're going to put the Valkyrie in B. Skarmy, F tier, especially with how popular the Goblin Curse is right now. I just don't really think you can play the Skarmy at all. Bomber, I think is A tier card right now. I think that it's pretty strong in the current meta, especially with a few of the bait decks that have been going around. I feel like it's a little bit overshadowed by the Furnace, especially because they kind of play the same role if you think about it. But yeah, I think the Bomber is a nice card to have in a lot of decks. It's just like a cheap defense card. Musketeer, just B tier. Like again, not a lot of 2.9 Loon and 2.6 Hog, which is the main decks you see the Musketeer in. But yeah, it's like super reliable, like good damage and everything. The Baby Dragon, I'm gonna go C tier. I don't think he's that good right now. Like obviously he's not a terrible card, so I won't put him in the D tier. But obviously, like you're not seeing him in graveyard as much anymore. E-Giant just prefers to run something like the Spirit Empress or the iDrag, so I just don't really think there's a lot of places for the Baby Dragon in the current meta. Prince, this is tough. I don't know if I want to put him in S tier, just because of a few cards in the meta that are really strong against him, like P.E.K.K.A., Guards, and Goblin Gang. So I'll put him in the A. Obviously, like I think he needs a nerf, 100%. Like the charge is way too fast, and maybe like a damage nerf as well. But I don't think he's S tier. I just don't think he's that broken that there's like nothing you can do to stop him, because there are obviously some very good counter cards in the meta. Next is Wizard, also F tier, way too weak to spells, and just not getting as much value as some of the other 5 elixir cards like a Bowler and Executioner. The Mini P.E.K.K.A, oh man, I'm gonna have to go D tier. I just don't think there's a lot of decks in the meta that he can really counter that well. Obviously, he's very good in Goblin Giant Sparky, but I think that deck is almost overshadowed by some of the other Goblin Giant decks going around. And then obviously he's not really usable in cycle decks, so I don't think he's that great of a card. Maybe you could use another small buff. Spear Goblins, I'm going to go in B tier. I think the recent nerf really did hurt them a lot, because before that, obviously, they're always getting that one hit, even if they're on 1 HP. But now, if they're on 1 HP, they don't get that one shot on the towers, which I think really makes them a lot easier to stop. And they're just not attacking things as quicker, so I think that serves them being put in the B tier. Giant Skeleton, he has that one really strong graveyard deck right now, but other than that, not super versatile. Obviously, you're not going to get a ton of value with him if you can't get the bomb near the tower. So I think probably C tier is a good spot. Hog Rider, I think, is good with the addition of the Furnace. Definitely not S tier, but a super solid win condition. His decks are pretty strong in the current meta, so we'll go A tier for the Hog. Minion Horde, oh man. I think it's not great against Furnace, obviously, because it's a Swarm card, but I do think that it's one of the strongest, like, because of the recent Minions buff, that the Minion Horde got helped out a lot. And you are starting to see it, like, tons more than you would regularly on ladder. So I think that actually means that it's going to be in the B tier right now. Now we have the Ice Wizard. Usually this card is pretty good. However, right now I don't like. Obviously, the Ice Wizard is a very strong defensive card, but like with the fast pace that the game's in right now, obviously he's going to be good in a lot of decks. But I don't know if he's getting as much enough value to be put into the A tier. Like most of the decks he's good in aren't great against like the Goblin Giant, Spirit Empress, Furnace meta. So I'm just going to go A tier instead of S tier for the Ice Wizard today. Oh man, Royal Giant, obviously a pretty strong win condition, great against cycle decks. But I think cycle decks is not really the meta right now. We're seeing a lot of Goblin Giant Beatdown and a lot of P.E.K.K.A Goblin Giant, which means that the Royal Giant really isn't that great. You're not getting a ton of value unless you're against a cycle deck. So I'll go with the C tier for now. Guards, straight into S tier. I think that the recent nerf they got didn't do anything, not even close to enough, and I think the guards are still amazingly strong. Princess, I think ever since the buff, she's slightly worse on offense, the nerf. She's slightly worse on offense, but a lot better on defense, especially that quicker first attack time. And obviously Bait's not in a terrible spot right now, so Princess is going to be good. I'll probably put her in B tier for now. The Dark Prince, oh man, this card is going to be getting a buff in the next set of balance changes. I don't think he's great right now. Like, there's a bunch of cards you can play instead of him in some of these like Goblin Giant decks. But he's not D tier, so I think probably just C is good. Like, he's solid, but not great. 3M, F tier. I don't think there's really much to say about that. You're spending 9 elixir for 3 almost useless musketeers that really don't contribute anything if they get spelled down. Lava, ooh, this is interesting. I think Lava, as a win condition right now, it's strong and the decks are good, and it pairs very well with the Broken Spirit Empress. But I just think that there's so many counters to it running around right now. I'm seeing a lot of Inferno Tower to counter the beatdown meta. So probably just into the A tier for the Lava. Like, I don't see him as much like that he's going to be getting a ton of value. Ice Spirit in S tier, obviously, like that freeze is so nice, and you're just getting tons of value for 1 elixir. Great cycle card. Next up, we have the Fire Spirit. I think with the Furnace being so popular right now, the Fire Spirit is getting a little bit more love, and people are starting to realize that he's actually a pretty strong card, especially good in like Goblin Drill and Chief Cycle decks. However, I don't think he's getting as much value as some of the other spirits, so probably just leave him in C tier for now. What the heck just happened there? All right. Next up we got the Miner. Man, the Miner is just so good. I think Minor Poison, one of the few cycle decks you can run in this current meta because of how solid the defense is. Obviously got a ton of these decks. You got Poison for like the minions, furnaces, you can DPS down some Spirit Empresses, so Minor is just S tier right now. Sparky, man, I think I gotta go C tier. Like usually Sparky's down in D, but I think that with the Goblin Giant and those decks being so strong right now, the Sparky pairs really well with the Goblin Giant, of course, and it's going to be getting tons and tons of value. Bowler, I almost want to go A. I think the Bowler's in a great spot right now. I don't know that he maybe not A, maybe just B or B tier because he's not getting that knockback damage against a bunch of the cards popular in the meta right now, like the Goblin Giant and Prince. Obviously, don't get knocked back. And Tekka as well, so probably just B tier. Like you're gonna get tons of value out of him and maybe some giant graveyard decks. Obviously very good in E Giant with the Tornado, but yeah, other than that, really nowhere else you can use him. Lumberjack, I think. There's a couple bridge spam decks running the Evo Lumberjack right now, but I think he's very versatile. I don't think he gets enough love for what he is. He's decent, like pretty high DPS. But I don't think he's in the greatest spot right now. Probably just C tier for that. That's pretty fair, I think. What about D tier cards today? Battle Ram, this might be D tier. I don't think. Yeah, I think with the amount of people running buildings right now, and like a lot of high DPS cards to deal with all the tanks in the meta, I really don't think the Battle Ram is getting you much value, especially because it's only you really good in P.E.K.K.A decks, and P.E.K.K.A decks are mostly moved on to like Goblin Giant and Ram Rider. The Battle Ram just kind of gets left behind, especially without the Evo. Next up, we have the Inferno Dragon. Oh man, I think the Inferno Dragon, as good as it should be with all the tanks in the meta, I don't think I can put it in the S tier. Maybe not even A because just of how popular the minions and Spirit Empress are, and they do very well against the Inferno Dragon, and obviously the Goblin Curse helping the Inferno Dragon just die that much quicker. So I'll probably just go B tier for that card. I really don't think it's getting you tons of value. Ice Golem, again, not a ton of balloon cycles, so probably just into the C tier. Like not really a very versatile card, and I don't really know what you're going to be doing with him a lot. Oh man, the Mega Minion, I think I got to go D tier. Like the minions have pretty much replaced him in every single deck that you used to see him in. Like they're dealing like better DPS, better range, and for the same cost. And plus, you get that extra spell bait ability. So I really don't think that the Mega Minion is in a great spot in the current meta. Dark Goblin, oh man, this is a tough card for me to rank because obviously the Evo is not as good as it used to be, nowhere even close. And I really do think that with the overall DPS buff they gave him, DPS nerf in the last set of balance changes, I don't think he's been as strong as some people would have liked him to be. So probably, but then again, bait is decent in the current meta. So, and he's very good in Mortar, I guess, as well. So probably just a B tier for the Dark Goblin here. Goblin Gang, I'm hesitant to put this in S. I think I'll probably just go A because it's giving slightly more value than like the guards or the skeletons to the Goblin Curse, because obviously you get 6 if they get cursed, and then that's going to be like a whole other problem for you to deal with. The Electro Wizard was a lot more popular last season than this. I don't think there's enough Inferno Dragon and Inferno Tower to make him actually viable in the meta. I don't think he's D. I think the recent buffs they've been giving him have helped him out a lot. So probably just in the C tier for the E-Wiz. E-Barbs, that's another D tier card. Just get very good DPS, but just get absolutely slammed by some of the meta beatdown decks. And obviously, like, you can't play them against cycle decks just because you can kite them around the board so easily. Hunter, I feel like if you know how to use him, he's getting amazing value in most matchups. But it's very hard to use him right, and he's just dying too quickly. I think that's the problem. Like most of these cards are just dying too quickly in the current meta we have. Like with all the beatdown right now, it's just hard to get value out of some of these cards because they just die so fast. So I'll probably put him in C tier. Executioner, D tier. Like he is good splash damage, yeah. So obviously he's very good against bait. But then Tornado's not in the best spawn. Obviously, you want to see the Tornado probably be XC for those nice lineups. and then just not great DPS, I think, which is probably going to be the main topic of this video. Like in the current meta, like you're needing a lot of DPS to deal with some of these decks that we're currently facing, and what I would say like is one of the worst metas we've ever had. Next, we have the Bandit. Probably B tier is fine. Like not a ton of bridge spam decks around in the current meta right now. But yeah, she's good pressure card and just gives you like good value most of the time, positive trades most of the time. So yeah, probably just B tier. Recruits D tier. They just die way too easily, way too easy to defend no matter what deck you're running. Like never really threatened by the recruits. Obviously the Evo is a lot stronger, but we're not talking about that right now. Next we have the Night Witch. Oh man, I feel like she should be good considering the meta we're in. But even with the Golem right now, she's not that strong. We're looking to we're seeing some more other support cards, more focused on defense. And then obviously she's not pairing great with like these Goblin Giant quick pace decks because she's not really a fast card. It's probably just D tier is going to be really good for her here. The Bats, oh man, this is so hard to rank. I think somewhere around C or D because again, the Goblin Curse and then the Rage, Zap, all these cards that are getting so much value against the Bats, you can barely ever play them, especially because most decks are running, all these beatdown decks run more than one small spell. So you can never really get value out of the Bats, even if you do outcycle them. So yeah, that's going to be down there. The Royal Ghost, I think this card is always A tier. Like, I think it's such a great design and great concept that, and obviously he's just getting so much value as a tank, as a nice little pressure card, and he just has to be up here in the A tier. Ram Rider, probably I'll go in the B tier. Like, Bridge Spam's in a decent spot right now. And I know I just said it wasn't great, like it's not, but the Ram Rider I think is one of the things that makes it somewhat viable. I think the fact that she's a little bit stronger and charges fast and does a lot of damage makes her really strong. Zappies, I'm going to go C tier. They're pretty good at countering most beatdown decks, but again, like super spell, like they die super easily to spells. It's just hard to get value out of them. I do think the buff helped them out a lot though with that first hit time. Rascals, F tier, like now that the boys doing more damage and the girls are doing less, I still don't think that's enough of a change to make them any good. Yeah, I just don't think it's that great. Cannon Cart, I'm gonna put it in D. Like usually the only deck you'd see it in would be like Bridge Spam decks and Mortar decks, but like even those you're not really seeing it anymore. Like it's kind of been phased out for more bait cards in the Mortar decks, maybe like a nicer tank or something, and then in Bridge Spam, obviously you're gonna be wanting to run some like Bandit, Ghost, even the Lumberjack instead. To like, and it kind of takes the spot of the Cannon Cart. Mega Knight again. Oh man, it's not F tier. It's not that bad, but definitely D because I don't think it gets value against like just doesn't have enough DPS to really deal with this high really beatdown heavy meta that we're in right now. The Skelly Barrel, obviously great evolution I think, but the regular one. Not getting you too much value. These drop damage is nice sometimes. Probably just in the C tier here. I don't really think it's that great. Flying Machine got killed by the Spirit Empress. I'm actually going to put this down in the D tier. Like, recruits are not in a great spot right now, and then the Spirit Empress is just taking the spot of Flying Machine in almost every other deck. So I really don't think it's strong. Wall Breakers, really good in minor Wall Breakers right now. I'll put them in the A tier. Obviously, a very strong evolution. That one's probably S tier. But even just the regular wall breakers, just applying so much pressure and getting positive trades almost every time you play them. Pigs will go C tier because I don't think that Piggy's EQ deck is really good in the current meta. And obviously recruits Hogs is not great. So I think we're going to go in the C tier for that one. The regular Goblin Giant also I think is C tier because not many people are playing just the regular Goblin Giant. Obviously you're going to be wanting to get to the evolved one, which is a lot stronger. And then it has just it feels like it has more HP, and obviously you spawn the goblins at the butt, so I think that's just what makes it really strong. Fisherman, I think is A tier right now. Like, it's doing a great job at countering, like, some beatdown decks, very, like, helpful with the King Tower activations, and then against Hog Cycle, which is decent in the meta right now, you're able to get those consistent defenses, especially if you have a Cannoneer. So yeah, I just think it's in the A tier right now. And especially in also decks like P.E.K.K.A. Goblin Giant, you can use it to pull in those range troops and then just finish them off really nicely. Magic Archer, again, you're not seeing a ton in the current meta, but I don't think. Actually, you know what? It might be down in the D tier. Like Magic Archer Miner is really the only deck you'd see it in, aside from Pekka Bitch Spam and Bridge Spam, and neither of those decks are really too good right now. So I'm gonna go Magic Archer in D tier. Like tons of counters to it in the current meta. Electro Dragon, the Evo I think would be really good in this current meta if not so many people were running Lightning. Obviously, because it does a great job at stopping all these beatdown pushes, but in the meta, there's too much Lightning for it to be anywhere near viable. I think F tier is a pretty good spot for it. The regular Firecracker, I'm going to go D tier, honestly. Like, the nerf, I think, really, really, really hurt this card, and especially in, like, the main decks you're seeing it in. Recruit's Bait, which isn't even popular right now, and obviously Hog Cycle is preferring to run the Furnace. So I really don't think there's any room for the Firecracker. Especially with the knockback nerf, like she's just a lot easier to kill now. And yeah, Mighty Miner. I don't think there's a stronger champion in the game right now. I think this one is S tier. A little bit different than the Inferno Dragon. Obviously, like it's walking, it can only target ground, but it's not dying to spells that easily. And it has like obviously a lot more HP, gives you that 3-card cycle, and you got the lane switch ability to deal with swarms. And just against like all the heavy decks in the meta, like I think it's getting great value unless you're up against something like a P.E.K.K.A. But even then, like as long as you get the Mighty Miner onto the Goblin Giant and then distract the P.E.K.K.A., like it's going to be half the defense already right there just in 4 elixir for the Mighty Miner. So I think that's why it deserves to be in the S tier right now. E-Golem D tier, too much splash damage, too much Furnace for this card to be anywhere near viable. Obviously you'll see a few decks because it's a rock, paper, scissors card at its base, but nowhere near like viable enough to be anywhere above D. Healer F tier, it's not good. I think this card needs a buff or a rework or something. It's nowhere near viable. Way too much heavy damage dealing cards and air cards for her to be good. Skelly King, I'll go in the B tier. He's not a terrible champion. Obviously, his ability is nice, but then again, popping the ability does give you all those skeletons, and with the popularity of the Goblin Curse right now, it's just way too hard to get value out of the ability. But yeah, I do think he's a decent champion right now. Archer Queen, it's not S tier. I think it's A. I really think it's flying under the radar right now because of how strong some of the other champions like Mighty Miner and maybe Boss Bandit are. But I think just that amazing DPS and obviously the amazing ability where you just like kill basically like half a P.E.K.K.A. and for just 1 elixir, I think that makes her A tier. Golden Knight, I think in the same spot as the Skelly King. He's in a lot of really toxic decks right now, and obviously with the ability buff, he's a lot more viable than he used to be. But yeah, I just don't think anything higher than B tier because there's stronger champions in the meta. Monk, very good in RG right now, I'll say that. And also, like, the knockback can be pretty nice to deal with some of these beatdown decks. He's a lot of HP. He kills the minions, actually, because of the projectile reflection, so I think he's really strong with that. And then, obviously, great against the Archer Queen, who's in the meta a little bit right now. Skelly Drags, like, they've, again, similar to the Mega Minion, every deck you'd see them in, they've been replaced by, like, the Spirit Empress, I guess, is what you'd replace Skelly Drags with. And then minions for them, like Mega Minion or Inferno Dragon. So I really don't think, especially in Lava Hound, you're not really seeing the Skelly Drags anymore. That was really the main deck you'd use them in. So yeah, next up we have the Mother Witch. Man, for the first time in so long, it feels like this card is just maybe could use a little bit of a nerf. I think with the popularity of Graveyard being strong, getting value against the Goblin Curse, which is everywhere, and just like the fact that it just like is a good card, and it pairs well with some of these like pressure decks that are going around. Like I think it's getting a ton of value and definitely deserves to be in the A tier. E-Spirit, A tier for sure, 100%. Not as good as the Ice Spirit, but decent in RG decks if you're running it still. Just the reset is very nice, and then the damage again, 1 Princess Tower shot, but it's pretty nice. Man, this really pains me to say this, but I really think the E-Giant belongs in the D tier right now. I think a lot of the best E-Giant decks right now aren't great against some of the Goblin Giant decks. And then if you're trying to make your E-Giant deck beat these Goblin Giant decks, you lose a lot of good matchups that you'd have with like say the Goblin Hut Inferno Dragon version, which I think is the best deck you should be running right now with the E Giant. But yeah, I really don't think that the E Giant's in a great spot. I think it needs another buff. As controversial that may be, but yeah, Phoenix, man, I would love to see the Phoenix be a great card as well. Like I really do like this card, and especially the Rebirth. If you play it on defense and it dies, and they just don't have a way to get on top of the egg, I think it's really nice and can give you a pretty decent counter push. But I think even with the buff, it's really not strong enough, especially with the strength of the cards like the minions right now. It's like belongs to the C tier. I don't think there's a ton of decks you can use it in. Little Prince, right now D tier. I think the buff that they're giving it is going to move it up to maybe B, maybe even A. But right now, definitely in the D tier. It's just not getting as much value as you'd like. Obviously, you do get the three card cycle for 3 elixir, but with the amount of poison people are running right now, it's just not a great champion, and obviously there are better. Demolisher, C tier. It's good in some off-meta drill decks, but I think most drill decks are preferring to run the Bomber and like maybe a Fire Spirit right now, so really not the card that you want right now. Really just like nothing like when it was in its prime, and I think that's really unfortunate. Goblin Machine, man, I think this has to be A tier. Like, the card in itself is fine, I guess. Like maybe it could use a small nerf, but just the fact that how it boosts the already broken decks because of what the card can do, and like just chucking off the rockets and like having good damage and having like, I think it's way too much health. Like I think this card should get a health nerf and maybe a rocket range nerf, but yeah, Bush, I'm gonna go D tier. Like you're gonna be wanting to run the Wall Breakers and like almost any other bait card. The Bush right now is just really not getting value, and especially that with that Hyperbait deck falling off in the meta, I really don't think the Bush is that good. Goblinstein, oh man, another card that I really love. I would really like to see a Goblinstein meta again. Like I know that on release, this card was maybe one of the most broken we've ever seen, but I do think that the Goblinstein is an amazing concept for a card. Like the fact you can split it, you can drop Insane Lane, it has 2 different troops and just an ability. But I really do wish this card was better. I think it's probably my favorite card in the game. I just wish that they could buff it somehow. This is gonna be weird. Rune Giant, F tier, terrible card. The nerf a couple months ago killed it. It should stay dead. I really hated that meta. Berserker, S tier, 2 elixir. You can use it in any deck. It doesn't have a card you can replace it with. It has good DPS, survives a fireball for a 2 elixir card, which I think is insane. Boss Bandit, A tier, I think up there with the Archer Queen and the Monk for being like tied for the second best champion. I'm not seeing it a ton right now. That's because it's really only viable in bridge spam, and obviously it does get countered pretty hard by like P.E.K.K.A. and then like some of the other cards that are really good in the meta. But yeah, I really think that it's a good card. I don't think it needs a nerf though. I think it's probably about the strength that it should be. Maybe like a slight damage nerf. But yeah. Next up we have the Spirit Empress. I don't even care. Like this is the best. Spirit Empress is the best card in the game right now. It survives lightning. And the ground card, the ground form I think is fine. I think the ground form is pretty balanced. I don't think they need to touch that. The health nerf, I don't think is enough for the air form. Maybe like range damage, I think is the biggest part. It needs a damage nerf, like 100%. And this card is just like, it's not used in any respectable decks, right? Like, so you're seeing it in Graveyard, which is obviously incredibly toxic. Goblin Giant, one of the most no-skill archetypes in the game, and just buffing all these stupid decks that have no business being in the meta. It's really annoying. Furnace, I'm going to go A tier. I think on release, Furnace is maybe top 5 most broken cards in history. I think the health nerf and then the spawn time nerf that they gave it was pretty good, and I do think the regular Furnace is balanced. Evo Furnace, obviously very broken, but the regular Furnace I think is A, just because it feels like it dies a lot easier now, especially like with that health nerf. It's not staying alive and just destroying absolutely everything on the board as easy. Cannon, S tier, great distraction card, 3 elixir for amazing DPS, and then obviously the fact that we have a little bit of Lava Hound in the meta, not a ton, makes it very, very good as well, like against all these ground beatdown decks, especially if you can cycle to 2 of them and you have the Evo Cannon in there. I think it's very good. Goblin Hut, A tier. I think the recent buff helped it out a little bit. Or, sorry, the rework was amazing. I think it helped. All the nerfs, I think, are starting to catch up with it. It's no longer S tier. And obviously with the curse getting value against the goblins that it spawns, and just not having the DPS that you'd like to deal with some of the heavier cards in the meta, I think it belongs in the A tier. Mortar, I'll go B. I'll go B for the Mortar. Like, obviously, a really strong defensive card, and the archetype is very defensive itself. But you're never going to want to play it on offense, I think, until you get to that Evo, which is obviously a lot stronger. But yeah, Inferno Tower, B tier. Actually, you know what? No, let's go with the A. I think there's not enough people running like great resets. Like, sure, Zap is around, and there's a little bit of lightning. I'd say Zap is like the main problem, but it's getting so much value against like Lava Hound, Giant Dex, Goblin Giant, P.E.K.K.A. Like, I think it's just a great building in the current meta, and don't think enough people are using it. Bomb Tower, C tier, just better building options you can use. Again, 2.9 Loon, not really amazing in the current meta. Bar Putt, F tier, too weak to spells. No way you can use this card in any deck unless you're alt, but yeah. Tesla, C tier, I think, as well, because you'd rather have a card make maybe an Inferno Tower for that higher DPS, or like a cannon for the cheaper cost, and then more ground DPS. But yeah, especially with the strength of the minions, the fact that Tesla no longer one-shots them, I think, is just making it that much worse. Pump, I'm gonna go D tier. I think the fact that there's so much poison, and then like a lot of more control decks that really are very strong at stopping like the elixir advantages that you can build up with the pump, I don't really think it's that good. Expo might as well be a dead card. I'm going to throw it in D tier. Impossible to use in terms of all these, like with all the tanks in the meta. I think it's just impossible to play this card. And then, like most of the times, if you're running an Expo deck, like it's going down to spell cycle. Like there's really nothing you can do about that. You can just play defensive Expo. Like you're not going to get locks at this point. Tombstone, D tier. I think this card needs a buff or something. Like it's just not strong enough, and it's just too weak. The skeletons are giving great value to the Goblin Curse, which we will get to at the end of this list. Goblin Cage, I'm gonna go C tier. The Brawler is obviously a very strong addition. It helps out this card a lot, but I really don't think it's great. The Evo Cage is a lot better for the meta. There's a lot more beatdown decks that it counters, but yeah. Drill, I think, is A tier. Drill decks, again, like Drill and Mine are kind of the only cycle decks you can use aside from Hog that are really going to get you a lot of value. Because obviously you got the poison in there, you got like a Snowball being really strong right now, so I think that helps out the Drill a lot. And then obviously you can play it on defense for that extra building, so I just think it's in a really good spot right now. Fireball, S tier, great. It's obviously your perfect big spell, like going to be dealing good damage, instant damage, like you see in an RG recruits. If you ever see that, sometimes they have the Fireball. And you can even run your like heavier decks, like your like Goblin Giant, and yeah, and maybe even Mega Knight decks for those of you who still are pissed off about that. Arrows, I think, are A. With the strength of the Rage and the Zap right now, I don't think that the arrows are S tier, especially because they don't pair well with the Goblin Curse. And since most decks are choosing to run like Zap, Rage, Curse right now and not using the arrows, I think that just makes them not S tier right now. Rage, S tier, the damage buff, and the damage buff I think was over buffing it. Like maybe just take the duration time down, and I think you have a pretty balanced card. But giving it more damage in exchange for the less, like, how do you say? Giving it more damage in exchange for less duration, I think just is way too strong. It makes this card way too good. Rocket, you're going to be wanting using a Lightning in the current meta. I think it's only really viable in Minor Rocket right now because traditional bait with the Rocket isn't really good. You're going to want to have extra bait cards like a Dark Goblin or something to get like a little bit stronger defense in the current meta. Barrel, C tier. I think nothing really can say about that. It's not a great card in the meta. Really not getting a ton of value against a lot of the heavier decks. Freeze, oh man, this card is about to have a generational fall off. The Vines just do everything the Freeze does, but better. So predicting that, I'm going to put it in the F tier. Like, predicting that the Vines are going to be as busted and they're not going to receive like an emergency nerf before they get released. Like, the Freeze is going to die. Like, and especially that the fact that Lumberloon Freeze is going to be terrible, I really don't see the Freeze being good in any decks anymore. I think Graveyard Freeze will be like not even close to good enough. Mirror, terrible. Playing the same, one more elixir to play the same card one level higher. It's terrible. Fire, Lightning should be A tier. I think it's a very strong card right now. Like obviously like good damage, and it's gonna be able to deal with a lot of those range cards. And like you're gonna be able to like basically kill almost anything except for a Spirit Empress, which should die to lightning. Supercell, if you're seeing this, make a Spirit Empress die to lightning, please, please. Zap. I'll put it in the B tier. I don't think it's good enough to be in A, but I think it is getting a lot of value with the Goblin Curse, and it's good against some of the bait decks that are in the meta right now. Poison, I actually think Poison and Fireball are both in the S tier right now. Poison obviously is going to be able to kill Furnace. It's doing great against like a lot of these swarm cards in the meta, like they kill minions, and just the value that it gets is really good. Graveyard A tier, so much graveyard decks in the meta right now. It's unbelievable. Obviously you have the Giant Skeleton one, Giant Graveyard if you're seeing that a little bit. Splash Yard with the Furnace and the Poison is one of the most brain dead decks in the game right now. Yeah, Log S tier card, like nothing really to say about that. Like the nerfs have not been enough. NATO, B tier, man. Like I think the NATO is just not good enough in the current meta. Like I really don't think you're getting enough value, especially with the damage nerf. It's really just not that good anymore. Obviously, it's still usable. Clone, F tier, not even close to good. Earthquake, I'll go B. Actually, no, I'll go C. I don't think it's it's not definitely not the spell you'd want to be using in this meta right now. Like obviously there are some strong buildings, but Earthquake is not going to be used in any deck other than Hog EQ right now, so I think that's why it's so low. Barbarian Barrel, actually going to be right up there beside the Log in S tier. Almost better than the Log, I think, right now, especially with the Barbarian that comes out. So yeah, Heal Spirit, I think I'll go C tier. It's super annoying if your opponent knows how to use them to get that perfect Heal Spirit every time, and it's like healing up the entire push. Oh my god. Like I said, like good Heal Spirit players are amazing with that card. It's incredible. Snowball, B tier, like doing a good job slowing things down. Great with the Goblin Drill. Very, very good with the Goblin Drill. I will say that, which is why it's in B tier. Obviously, the Evo Snowball is going to be very good as well. Delivery, C. Like obviously, it's good in some minor decks, but not enough Hogs or like Royal Hogs Earthquake to make it good. Void, F tier. I don't think there's anything you need to say about this card. Too easy to block, too easy to predict. And finally, the Goblin Curse belongs in the S tier. Probably one of the top 3 cards in the game right now. The damage amplification, obviously, like a huge part of this card. Very sad that's getting removed. I think the Goblin Curse is one of the most fun cards to play in the game. It's also one of the most toxic. Makes me want to throw my phone every time I go up against it. But yeah, I think that Supercell is taking the wrong nerf on this card, and it should be something more like a damage nerf or like an amplification nerf, like maybe to 5 or 10%. But yeah, so this is my August 2025 Clash Royale cards tier list. Let me know what you guys want to see next, if you agree or disagree with any of these picks. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.